Hi everyone, welcome to Spidey-Stash episode 4. My name is Bruce Wechtenheiser, and I've been collecting Spider-Man comic books and memorabilia for 50 years, right here in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, hometown of Spider-Man co-creator Steve Ditko. A few months ago I started writing these articles and producing short videos to go with them, and we call these articles Spidey-Stash. So let's get to episode 4, which we call Back to School with Spidey. I know the schools have already started. We're into the 4th or 5th week already in most schools in the area. I'm a high school teacher, but when we remember going back to school as elementary students, it was a lot more exciting than high school times. And that's what I want to focus on today. Let's go back to those childhood days, getting ready to go back to school, buying those new clothes, getting all the cool school products, lunch boxes, everything else. It was an exciting time back in the grade school days. And it was especially exciting starting in around the 1975-76 years when there was finally some cool memorabilia to take back to school that featured our favorite hero, Spider-Man. So let's take a look at what I could find as I was going through my collection and other places when I did my reference. Well, like I said, up until about the 1975 year, there really wasn't much to do or to buy to take back to school for your supplies as far as Marvel heroes go. But in 1975, everything changed. The Meade Corporation came out with so many cool school supplies featuring our favorite characters, and they did a great job of promoting and advertising the products. This was a picture from inside of a cover of a comic book. They advertised in other trade publications, and you could see that they had some cool displays back in the stores, the major stores back then in 1975. They had posters above their displays announcing what they had and what was going to go on with the products. So it was just kind of a cool time to be a kid. I was in 5th grade, going into 6th grade at the time, and I could get a couple products, but I couldn't go overboard as I was on the edge of being too old for the products back then. Each character that was featured in the product line had one each of the following items. What we're looking at here is for Spider-Man. They always featured issue 135, the cover there, with the Punisher at the bottom and Harry Osborn and all the other great characters. This was even before the Punisher got really popular, so it was kind of ironic that they used issue 135 as their prominent feature on these products. But this was a 2-pocket folder, just a cardboard folder. The back had a page from issue 151, Spider-Man versus the Shocker in the sewers of New York City. And the inside, you can see there's some more panels from issue 151, but you could just keep things inside this beautiful little folder. They also offered a drawing pad that you see on the screen now. It was the sheets were secured at the top, and you could tear them out after you drew on them or wrote on them. But that one's not as frequently found these days, so if you haven't seen it before, there's the Spider-Man drawing pad, 9 by 12 inches. Here's the Spider-Man binder, 3-ring binder. It was plastic, of course, and they featured what they called a pinchless design, so that you wouldn't get pinched by those nasty rings, those metal rings, and these are made out of plastic. And you can see the side and the front of the cover of that binder, as well as the back of the binder here. Also, you could get your favorite character on a spiral-bound notebook, and this one didn't survive the ages so well. Other ink and things of mine got on top of that, and you can see it was kind of defaced a little bit. But that was a cool notebook to have as a kid. And also notebook paper. Now, I discovered something when I was getting this episode ready, that there were actually 2 different kinds of notebook paper. So look through your collection if you have it, and if you're a completist, you might want to get both kinds. This one was a college ruled. It's hard to read down there in the red margin. College ruled notebook paper, and it had 30 sheets in the pack, and it also featured this very cool iron-on transfer that you could take and put on a shirt or any other kind of material you wanted to. So it came with a free iron-on transfer, 30 pieces of notebook paper. Here's the variety that I was talking about. The other alternate version was wide marginal ruled, had the blue margin at the bottom, still 30 sheets, still the iron-on transfer, but two different kinds of notebook paper. So check that out. And finally, it was like a trifold organizer. Before they were ever called Trapper Keepers, trifold organizer made out of plastic. And as you can see up in the upper left-hand corner of my photo here, all 6 characters were featured on this item. You can see the 6 different characters they used up in the upper left, and then they used panels from different comic books, and it was just a cool item that combined all the characters on it. The trifold binder organizer. And apparently, I've never seen one myself, but you can see at the top of the screen the amazing theme books. I'm not sure if they were released in the United States or maybe over in Europe or something like that, or Canada, I'm not positive. It looks like almost identical to the cardboard folders, but they had holes punched down the left-hand side that would match up with the holes in your notebook paper. So you could put your notebook paper in there and also use a clasp or some other kind of binder type material or object to clasp your papers together. So the ones on the bottom, they're called portfolios. Those are our cardboard folders, pocket folders that we're familiar with. And a unique item that I found out about recently was a 3-pack. As you see pictured on the screen now, you can see that there was a notebook paper package, a spiral bound notebook, and also the plastic folder, and they all came together in a kit that was available through Sears catalogs. So on the next screen you can see the beautiful box that it came in when you ordered it from the catalog and got it mailed to your house. It was just a generic brown cardboard box, and you can see on the side though it says Spider-Man Ensemble, and they were 11 by 8.5 each, and there were 3 pieces. So if you can find that, it would be a cool item to add to a collection. In 1975 also, there were magazines that you could order through the school. When you're in school, they had the order forms for books, and sometimes there were magazines that were coming out. This one was from a Smash magazine, and JJ was featured on the cover, not Jonah Jameson. And this is Volume 2, Issue Number 1. So if you're looking for it, it's Smash, Volume 2, Issue Number 1. And in the middle of that magazine, stapled in there, was a book cover. And you can see the book cover featured Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man Issue 137, with Harry Osborn finally taking over the mantle of the Green Goblin. So there was a book cover that you could take to school, or put on your book and take your book to school with a nice cover. Soon after that, 1976, there were ads in the comic books to send away for other additional types of book covers, and when you ordered them, you could get them and delivered to your house, and they would come in a 2-pack. So here's a plastic bag with 2 different book covers in it. This one has Spider-Man on one side, as well as bicycle safety rules written on the margin there. I guess people weren't being too safe with bicycles back in 1976. And the second one that came in that pack was Captain America. So you could dress up your books, keep them nice, and take them to school in these book covers. Various pens started coming out in massive quantities around 1978. These were the click style pens. You see Spider-Man is the second one from the left. And you could find them in the stores in beautiful display boxes like this one. These are the stick style pens. You didn't need to click them. You just take the cap off and start writing. But the stick ones were made by the U.S. Pen Company and featured a lot of different characters. The click ones were also found sometimes in these strange generic packages that said thank you on it 3 times. And it looks like they were either like an award that you won for doing some type of fundraising, or maybe some other kind of promotion where they were giving these away to people. But thank you, here's your 3 superhero pens, including the Spidey. Later in the 70s, when the Bic Banana markers got popular, other companies wanted to have their shot at these thin marking pens. So Innovative, a division of the U.S. Pen Company, made this beautiful 3-pack of Spider-Man in different colors with really cool artwork on the packaging. Here's one that was loose, and marker pens. Around 1980, U.S. Pen Company started putting 2-packs out here with Spider-Man and Spider-Woman. And the first one on the left there were marker pens, and the ones on the right were the stick pens again. 98 cents for 2 pens. You couldn't go wrong back then, people. Later in the 80s, around 1988 or so, rollerball technology came out, so they had to keep up with that with Spider-Man markers, rollerball pen, I should say. And the cap featured the running Spider-Man pose on it from the fabulous John Romita. And there's your $1 rebate at the top. Dennison jumped in on the school products with the wonderful glue stick. Dennison Manufacturing. They had other characters, but there's our favorite character, Spider-Man. And this was released in 1979. Also in 1979, a messenger bag. You could throw your books in there if you wanted to, or other items, and take them to school. I can't find a maker, a manufacturer on this one. There's just a copyright of Marvel Comics, and it was made out of kind of like burlap material, tan material. And on the back, you can see how they had the straps and different things to help you carry that messenger bag. Would have been a cool way to take your books to school. Also, talking about cool things to take to school, here's a school kit. And it was designed and produced by the people at NASA. NASA put out tons of Spider-Man desk items, office items, if you want to call it that, in 1980. I'll probably do a show about them sometime, but 2 of their items I want to feature today is this school kit. The school kit had a giant pencil case. It had a round pencil sharpener at the top of the package there. A ruler, plastic ruler was back behind there, and a rectangular eraser with the running Spider-Man on it. And if you looked at the other side of the pencil case, you could see a space for your lunch money and a spot to write your name on that pencil case. So it would have been cool to take those to school. I was a little too old for that at the time. I was in 10th grade, so I wasn't taking that to school with me at the time. This photo is a little bit blurry. I apologize for that. It's from my collection from the late 90s when the cameras weren't so great. And these are 2 pencil caps. The Spider-Man head and the Hulk head are just plastic decorations you put on your pencil, and the rectangular erasers are at the bottom of that package. So stuff cool for your pencils to take to school. And here we go, people. Here's the main event. Lunch boxes. You know you were the coolest kid in school if you had a really cool lunchbox. And in 1976, Aladdin, who was king of the lunchbox manufacturers, put out a Marvel Superheroes lunchbox for the first time. Spider-Man was featured prominently on the front and on the thermos, plastic thermos. So that was a really cool lunchbox. And if you look back on the front again, Spider-Man was swinging from a traditional rope instead of a web. So I'm not sure why, but we can forgive that transgression because it was such a cool lunchbox. In 1980, Aladdin put out a Spider-Man and Hulk lunchbox, and also Captain America was featured on that. Brand new artwork on the thermos. 1981, supposedly Aladdin came out with a prototype, and Brad Douglas has an article about that on the website here at Crawlspace, and I have a link to it. The front is the only thing that's different from the 1976, same thermos, and it was on eBay for a while for sale. No one bought it. It was gigantic amounts of money, so I'm not sure of the authenticity of it, but it's been rumored. And here's the 1984 Secret Wars lunchbox with Spider-Man on the front, Spider-Man on the back, Spider-Man on the side, Spider-Man on the thermos. It was a good time to be a Spider-Man fan and a Secret Wars and Marvel fan when they were producing a lot of products back around 1984. So as you think back to your days of childhood, hopefully you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, going back to school with Spidey. And you know, since then, since the 70s and 80s, there's been a lot more items, too many to mention on an episode like this, but it's been cool to think back to all the cool times of childhood and being a Spidey fan. And if you have any comments or questions, please put them down below on my article. And as always, God bless, and we'll see you next time on Spidey-Stash.